What's up, family? It's me, your boy, your urban sports guru, and I just want to holler at y'all about this. Big things are going on with Dana White and Oscar Delahoya. Whatever side of the court you want to flip on. I just want to speak my piece on it. And to be honest, I'm not gonna get into who's right and who's wrong. One thing, what has made the UFC successful, because I've always said you have MMA, but then you have UFC, where it's like UFC's been kicking ass for quite some time now. They've been kicking ass because I always say because the fights that need to get made. And it's happening because they're the major engine for mixed martial arts. You had these other federations that were quasi competitive with them and they bought them up. And the only other federation that's come up since that's even quasi competitive, I use that term uh, sparingly for quasi, is Bellator. So in these smaller federations, what USC does is they snatch up those fighters, and then they get a UFC contract, which is the premier contract to get. And in each weight class, there's only one belt. So the fights that need to get made. And the fights the fans want to see, they want to see. And this is how the public was always fed, given the appetite of what it is they want. And the fighters became so much interchangeable because in MMA, people don't go undefeated. People don't go undefeated. You fight long enough. I mean, I'm not trying to belittle it, but it's ballroom brawling to some degree. And because of that, people just don't go undefeated. So you have great fighters who end up having a run. I was like, they talked about Chuck Liddell. I was a big Chuck Liddell fan. He had a run, and that was about it. You know, he had a run. Ronda Rousey had a run. Connor. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if he can continue his run and stretch it out for a little longer. But you know what I'm saying? But the thing about UFC, a lot of even their top guys were not making buco dollars. One thing Dana said, he was talking about Connor's made Floyd money. Connor's only made Floyd money because he fought Floyd. Before fighting Floyd, Connor never made. I don't think he made more than $5 million. Now, to me, you, John Crupella, $5 million is a lot of money. But when you're talking about when you're the biggest person in your sport, that's not a lot. So when Dana White is saying, well, you can't please everyone, there are some disgruntled people, blah, blah, blah. To me, I hear that, and I hear him basically kind of conceding to what Oscar was saying, that fighters are calling him saying, yo, we're not getting paid enough. you know, that's just what I hear. I think Dana White does a good job, but I think if Oscar is going to jump into the MMA game, he has to do what UFC has done: is snatch up these young up and coming MMA guys before they get UFC contracts. Because yeah, even if you sign a star, let's just say you sign Conor McGregor, okay, who's he gonna fight? Anybody worth fighting is signed with UFC or Bellator. Who are you gonna fight? You know what I'm saying? Who's he gonna fight? So you got to sign a plethora of guys. You got to keep signing guys and let there be a factory. And this is something that MMA is gonna have to deal with because you understand this is something that boxing has already dealt with. Boxing, as we have this alphabet soup. We have the IBF, we have the WBC, we have the IBO, we have WBA, we have the WBO. This is how these things happen. And along those lines, not just with the different federations and the different titles, you have television. Fighters that are signed with Bob Arum, Top Rank, fighting on ESPN. Fighters who are signed with Al Heyman and Money Team. That whole clique on the Showtime. Now you got the Zone that's taking over. Golden Boy signed with the Zone. A lot of AJ, he signed with the Zone. My opinion, I think the zone's going to end up taking over because it's going to cost the fans less money. That's just my opinion. However, that's another thing that's splintering boxing. And at the bigger that MMA is going to get, they're going to have to deal with some of this as well. Because they basically has had a luxury of, if you thought MMA, you thought UFC, and everyone's under one federation. So easy to get a fight made. Now, like case in point, it took so much extra negotiation to get Floyd Mayweather to fight Manny Pacquiao. Why? Television. For the same reason it took so long to get Mike Tyson to fight Lennox Lewis. Why? Television. For the same reason it's taking forever right now to get a fight done with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. Why? Television. MMA is going to have to learn to deal with this, just like boxing is going to have to learn to deal with this. And if Oscar wants to throw his hand in the MMA ring, going ahead. There's a lot of money there. I mean, if you are a promoter of pugilism, why not? Why not? If Dana wants to throw his hat in the boxing ring, going ahead. He said boxing is rate billions, maybe not even $1 trillion. Why not? But you have to take in consideration, guys, what are the contracts are they under? I'm more for Oscar jumping into the MMA ring than Dana jumping into the boxing ring for this one reason. I don't want one more extra impediment to getting good fights made in boxing. Like, we're waiting right now, hoping to get Terrence Crawford. Hoping to get Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, but they on competing networks. Like, it's too much of this shit going on. So basically, right now in boxing, when you sign a contract, it's all about who else is signed to that television contract. Those are the people you're allowed to fight, basically. Because if you fight anyone who's on your level or more, someone has to make a concession. Someone. So if you add Dana and he builds his shit up, so it's like that's just another hat in the ring, making it that much harder to get great fights made. I don't want to see that. I do, however, would love to see some kind of competition. Sometimes you can't, because right now Bellator just seems to get anyone the UFC doesn't want anymore. So that's just my take. Let me know how you feel about your boy Urban Sports Guru. I'm out. Salute.